Good day, folks. Monday, 8th of July 2024. Warm welcome to you all. Today, I'm following on from yesterday's discussion, which was mainly about the Middle East, but I mentioned an ongoing thing, the permanent present. At least the permanent present that we're presented with by, both social media and the mainstream media, which takes us to the massive problems we have in society today. And there's two I'm going to address. The first is the unprecedented polarisation and the unprecedented division and acrimonious relationships within society. The other is the massive loss of trust, in my opinion, deservedly so, in the narratives that were sold. The narratives were given by the elites, the people in government. I'll call them elites because that's what they are. And also the sycophantic spokespeople in the mainstream media who just simply aren't critical enough of elite narratives. So many people talk about social media as some kind of alternative, but we've already had enough time to realise that social media is no solution. It's a big part of the problem. I'm not saying it's the sole cause of the problem. I'm saying it's a big part of the problem. Why do we have these massive divisions and this incredible acrimoniousness among people? I notice, and I've experienced it in recent years, that people are far too ready to fall out with people over just simple differences of opinion often on political matters. One of my favourite quotes is by Thomas Jefferson, who once said, "I have never considered a difference in religion or politics a reason to withdraw from a friendship." Sound words, and if only they were more closely followed today. Sadly, the words of Jefferson are not followed, and we find that many people are all too ready to just hurl expletive-laden tirades at people, mainly on social media, less so in real life, because social media gives people a license to be more brave than they would be if they were talking face to face. So, yeah, it doesn't really take a Sherlock to figure it out. It's the algorithms. Chances are you've probably already seen this video if YouTube has decided that this content is more in line with the content you regularly watch and the content that doesn't challenge people's already well-entrenched opinions. Again, these social media just delivers confirmation bias. It just gives people another version of what they had yesterday. And this is part of the problem because people are not really having any challenge to their established ideas, the way they think the world works or the way they think the world should work or any delusions about the way the world works. This goes unchallenged, and when any opinions appear that do challenge it, we have huge cognitive dissonance. Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, but what we need to remember is that social media, whether X or Facebook, they're not services. They don't serve public interest. They serve private interests. I mean, obviously, this may be completely obvious to some people. They may claim altruistic purposes. We have DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion, which is being pushed by Larry Fink and all those lovely people at BlackRock to make themselves look respectable and put a nice public face on what is massive accumulation of power, but yeah, may fool some people. I mean, may think, oh, diversity, equity, and inclusion. How can you possibly not like that? Well, no, that's not the point. It's all it's all a mask, it's all a sham, it's all virtue signalling. Which takes me to my second point, why elite narratives have broken down, and they have. In fact, I can't even bring myself to read a lot of things, because whenever I read what for a long time was one of my favourite publications, The Economist, I keep hearing about how Russia and China are a threat to the quote-unquote rules-based order. Okay, well, first of all, I don't really know of any rules that China has broken in the so-called rules-based order. I mean, it hasn't had any military incursions since 1979 in a brief border war with Vietnam. Secondly, rules-based order. Who are these rules for? Was the 2011, what rules did the 2011 destruction of Libya accord with? By what rules did we have a decade-long occupation of Iraq and invasion of Iraq according to what international rules? Doesn't the rules-based order involve adherence to treaties? Who was it who withdrew from the anti-ballistic missile treaty in late 2002? I can't remember the specifics, but I do remember some of Trump's last actions in office involved withdrawal from some intermediate forces agreement. So, yeah, this rules-based order, I'm not really sure about how Russia and China pose most of a threat to the rules-based order. I mean, I think a lot of Russia's concerns since 2002 with the withdrawal of the anti-ballistic missile treaty, and the stationing of missile defense systems in Central and Eastern Europe was about this rescinding of this rules-based order. So, yeah, I mean, again, rules-based order. I mean, rules for who? Yeah, that's the thing. The narratives don't make sense. By narratives, I mean, yeah, the media reports facts, but they're packaged together to suit a particular narrative. Now, for a while, we had this narrative about democracy, that the world was tending toward Western-based liberal democracy, owing to ideas by the Stanford, I believe, political scientist Francis Fukuyama, ideas that he has since disowned because reality didn't play out with theory. And again, the main thing to go by is reality, at least if you're a pragmatist, not if you just want to live by wishful thinking. So, yeah, we had this rather idealistic narrative, which has since been abandoned, but we still regularly have this talk about human rights and the need to promote democracy. I do remember after the 2014 so-called Maidan Revolution, so much was earmarked in Ukraine for democracy promotion. I mean, where did all those millions from the US State Department go, and how's that turning out? I mean, as far as I'm aware, elections are currently suspended in Ukraine. So, yeah, this whole narrative about democracy and human rights, we all know that it's what I said with DEI, and promoted by social media and the owners of this, which include BlackRock. It's virtue signalling on the world stage. Human rights seem to be invoked for places such as Iran, but not for Saudi Arabia, oddly enough. So I would just say in a nutshell, it's never about human rights. It's all about being a vassal. It's all about serving interests. So human rights are not part of that interest. They're just invoked when convenient. I mean, Got to remember, Chile under Salvador Allende was not serving economic interests, but Chile under Pinochet was. Hence, human rights were never part of the dialogue. So, yeah, that's one thing. But the thing is, most people have woken up. Most people realise that this black and white, good versus evil narrative just doesn't make sense. Yeah, there is the other people who will listen to whatever they've heard in the mainstream media and think, oh dear, how could anybody possibly be saying otherwise? I've heard it in the media. But that's something that Goebbels recognised. Goebbels did say that if you take a lie and you tell it often enough, people accept it as truth. And yeah, if people hear things in the media, they do, well, not all, but many automatically accept it as truth. So it leaves this kind of vacuum. It's a sad vacuum that has been filled by things which are much worse. Things that include, did include for a while QAnon, which I hope is dead by now. I mean, really hope so. And other loudmouth buffoons like Alex Jones. And I'm sure there's going to probably be people saying, oh, you don't believe in the media. I guess you follow InfoWars or something like that. Well, no, I don't. I don't follow these loudmouth shouting artists on social media any more than I follow the loudmouth shouting artists on the mainstream media. You've got to remember, we always have these debates, whether it's matters about trans people in women's bathrooms, etc., etc., and you'll have probably two square-jawed broad pundits, some sad excuses for broadcast journalism, shouting out at each other on networks for mass news consumption designed for the regular plebs. But the people who make this news, who have networks with seemingly divergent views, such as, say, NBC or Fox News, well, they all meet at elite conferences like Sun Valley. At Sun Valley, you'll have Rupert Murdoch, obviously, as we know, owner of Fox, sat next to Brian Warner, owner of NBC. Rupert Murdoch and Brian Warner are not shouting at each other. They agree on all the things that matter. So always bear that in mind. Always bear that in mind before you start shouting, hurling expletives at people because they don't share your views on what constitutes a woman, or they don't share your views on elite narratives regarding October the 7th or what constitutes a terrorist. Before you start shouting at the other person, just think, are the people giving you this news, are they shouting at each other? Do they agree on everything that matters? And what about the other people, the elites who are pushing these narratives? What do they really want you to do? So remember, I'm not saying to any people, go down some strange rabbit hole into some kind of echo chamber where nothing is true and anything is possible. No, I'm just saying, always read between the lines. Always look a bit further. Always consider, what are they telling you, but also what are they not telling you? There's many examples I could give, but I'd be here all day if I were I to do so. But I'll just close by again, Thomas Jefferson. I've never considered a difference of opinion in politics or religion a reason to withdraw from a friendship. Keep that in mind. Thank you.